Bahubali, Pushpa, all of these setting the trend of everyone wanting to watch films that were considered from the South. And Talar is a really exciting film in my career. I wouldn't just say star power because I think Prabhas has much more than that. He has an appeal that's quite universal. So Salar is coming across in multiple languages, which is amazing.
When you come across these link-up rumors, and how have you learned to tackle them in a way, address them in a way?
I've never responded to them much. And I have to say a lot of them have been true. So,
That's good.
Chinese film, Korean film देख रहे हैं या Korean TV show देख रहे हैं, तो how will we not within our own country watch our own films? It's almost baffling to think that this didn't happen before.
A lot of talk around Salar.
Yes.
And Prabhas. So
yes.
How important is that? And tell us something about the entire journey of Salar for you.
Salar is a really exciting film in my career for many reasons. Let's start with the fact that, we're at this time where people now watch films in different languages, and it's not just the satellite, but because of OTT platforms. And they also, you had films like Bahubali, Pushpa, all of these setting the trend of everyone wanting to watch films that were considered from the South, And so Salar is coming across in multiple languages, which is amazing. It brings together, something, I wouldn't just say star power because I think Prabhas has much more than that. He has an appeal that's quite universal. And that combined with Prashant Neel, a director who had made KGF, which is again so nationally acclaimed. So in that sense, there's many exciting permutation combinations right off the bat. Then, of course, is my character. I get to try something different that I haven't before, which is always exciting to me as an actor. And the whole team, the scale of it, Prashant Neel creates worlds. Even KGF is like a world you go into, and Salar is no different. And even though the scale is massive and it's this world, he focuses very much on the intricate human connections that matter, the human sentiments and relationships that matter. And this has that element, which I really, really like.
It is such a fascinating time that we are in right now. Because you mentioned about Pushpa, for example, Bahubali has been there in the past. So many of South films, they are being remade in Hindi.
Yeah.
This entire concept of regional cinema, I think, has been dissipated now because South, for example, that has become mainstream. I think the number of advertisements that you're doing right now, which are nationally, maybe you're not done earlier. When we see you in all these ads now, it is pan-India, which is great. Your ad.
I always did it pan-India. I honestly, Faridun, my endorsements were really always pan-Indian from day one. My first ever ad was for an ice cream. We won't name the brand, but they were like, "Aap isko Tamil mein bhi dub karenge, please." And then now, of course, but the other thing that happens is they think, "Aap Tamil baat karte to aap Kannada aur Malayalam mein bhi dub kar lijiye, please, yaar." And I'm like, no, I can't do that, But ads have always been pan-Indian for me, unless it's a regional specific ad. Right? So endorsements, they have figured it out long ago. Ki let's do it in all languages so that they all buy our product. They were much clearer. In terms of the films being pan-Indian, I grew up in a home with dad doing this for years and years. So it never felt like a faraway thing for me. But I do feel it's changing now. And I categorically say this is like, okay, my dad and Mr. Rajnikant were doing it. And then, it became because of satellite dubbing, which had its own market. And then you heard people talking in the South ki, even got a market like Inka market, Hindi dub mein acha hai, about heroes from there, And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And then when OTT came in, people had the choice to choose for themselves. So this is not some sudden thing that has happened. It's not a group of important people that sat together and say, Chalo, let's make this happen for the South now. No, it's what the audiences have wanted. The audiences have, made with the predecessors from satellite to now OTT to choosing that we will watch everything. Just give us the choice to choose. And they've chosen, and this is the result of it.
All right. Like say, for example, the short film that you did with Nag Ashwin, for example.
Yes.
And you said that that is something, that is sort of work that you would like to do, kicking serious ass and all that stuff. Now, maybe in usual circumstances, that would have been maybe limited to a South audience. But because of the OTT release, it is not only pan-India, but it is all across the world.
Yes.
So somehow this notion about language is getting dissipated in a way. Like a Minnal Murali, for example, it is trending 30 countries.
Yes,
which is great. So it's not like a South film. It is like a international film now.
And we have to stop that, because all of India is also watching a Squid Games. They're also watching other shows from not English language countries. You get me? So, a Narcos had so much of Spanish in it. Do you know what I mean? So that has definitely dissipated. So आप सोचिए जब हम Chinese film, Korean film देख रहे हैं या Korean TV show देख रहे हैं, तो how will we not within our own country watch our own films? It's almost baffling to think that this didn't happen before.
Shruti, I was reading your interviews, and you said that you say what you feel like, and that's how you've always been. You've been in the business for quite some time, and you're a very straightforward person. When you come across these link-up rumors, and at times they can be rather distasteful as well. How have you learned to just tackle them in a way, address them in a way, and do you think at times maybe it is not required to talk about them?
I've never responded to them much, and I have to say a lot of them have been true. So
that's good.
So I was like, "Acha, theek hai." Like, it's just that every girl, a single, financially independent, fun girl, is going to have exploration. So that's what I was. That was the phase I was in when I never felt the need to talk about it. I'm not ashamed of it. Like, no one's going to slut shame me. Okay, so I had a wonderful time. And then finally what happened is, when I reached a certain stage, I felt like I didn't want to hide it, because there were many ramifications of what that meant. People were saying stuff like, if you talk about your relationship, people will think you're not taking your career seriously. I said, why? That doesn't even make sense. If anyone's good at multitasking, it's women. So why would I hide that? Why would I be ashamed of something that makes me happy? It's not like, full, like, okay, come on, be a part of everything. But I just felt at some point, मेरा दिमाग में ऐसा कुछ हो गया कि नहीं, मैं ऐसा लगता है कि जब मैं छुपा के कर रही हूँ, कि मैं झूठ बोल रही हूँ या hiding it didn't feel natural to me. Also, when you say that, I've always spoken openly, I haven't always spoken openly. There was a day that happened like that as well, where I said, okay, fine, let me just try being myself and see how that lands. At least I've just been myself. If they don't like it, then they don't like me. It's fine. I'd rather that people don't like me for me than like me for something I'm not. So fortunately, people were like, oh, we like this. So I was like, hey, yeah, I can just be myself now.
Okay, so would you want to do maybe say a show, for example, which is what Shruti Hassan is all about, like something like a Masaba, for example, or like a I'm Not Done Yet, like a Kapil Sharma, for example.
Yeah.
Does that something excite you? Would you want to do? Because that can be pretty interesting and entertaining, I believe.
I think I'd love to do it, but like I wouldn't like to do it because I'm not like that self-obsessed yet. So I wouldn't be, not that I'm saying Masaba and these are, but I'm saying I wouldn't plan it. Ki main apna life aise dikhaungi. Somebody else would have to approach me with something. Like I'm quite a doer and I like to be creatively in charge of things. But in this context, I wouldn't. Also, Faridun, people would really have a tough time putting it into a genre because I'm so complex in my life. Like I'm super weird and like a dweeb and funny, but I'm also really intense and serious. My travel is like an action movie. My decision making is like a thriller. So I don't know which genre you'd put it in. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to explore like another person's perspective of me. That would be really interesting. And I'd love to see my flaws and strengths from another person's gaze, definitely. But I don't know if I do it myself.
You're right when you say, because it can be as mainstream as it gets, and it can be as esoteric as it gets.
Probably esoteric in my case.
which is quite. But you've been part of some really big films. You've done all the proverbial big screen stuff that is associated with Hindi film heroines. and the same time you tend to vanish in UK doing your own thing as a musician.
Yeah.
Where you don't want to be identified and travel in cabs, and which is fascinating.
It is. I do live in a duality. I like duality, even in person. Like, I like to have an energy that is. I can't believe my own hype and become an image. You know, I'm not an image. I'm a person. You know, so I keep that separate.
That's amazing.